Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 131st of Kouryer podcast. Our today's guest is Ameera Sheikh. She's an illustrator and visual artist from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Now, with that quick introduction out of the way, I just want to mention something before we jump into the first question. There are three links I put down in basically the caption of this episode, which is one of them is the art station. Of course, you can see her portfolio, and the second one is the link to the print store, and you can see some of the prints also here on the video version of the podcast. Audio listeners, you can check the links down below for yourself, because I'm not sure you can see the video version on audio. I mean, obviously. And the third link is the link tree, so we can see additional links to her works and portfolio and Twitch stream and everything.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. And with that out of the way, let's jump to the first question I ask everyone, which I always get pretty colorful, interesting answers, which is give us a little introduction on how we got into the world of visual arts and design.
Oh, visual arts and design. Okay, it is a journey. I've always been into art ever since I was a very little kid, because I would watch my mom paint and stuff. So that really intrigued me, and I just stuck with it for the rest of my life. But specifically into the visual arts and design stuff, I was introduced to DeviantArt by my friends in high school or in middle school, I don't know. And I was like, what is that? So I started going there and discovering that people do these things for a living. They design for games, and they design for, and now it's just something that unlocks in your brain, oh, that's right, all of these things need people to do, to make. As a kid, you don't really process all the way. You're just like, oh, it's a video game, cool, let's play. But yeah, I think I started making fan art. I started trying to improve, and then I started meeting friends who are in the industry. Got into some small local contests, met more artists. Just started building up from there. And then for my studies, I studied actually graphic design in university. Yeah, even my graphic design projects were all illustration based. But yeah, then I graduated college, and I went to work at Ubisoft in Abu Dhabi. I worked as a junior character artist for a year. And then I came back and worked as a designer for a while, and then went on freelancing, just doing a lot of character design and all that stuff.
All right.
Now
awesome,
I'm doing some board game art, some card games, some wall illustrations. Yeah, it's a variety of projects.
Yeah, awesome, man.
That's pretty much my roller coaster journey.
Yeah, and actually that's kind of interesting, because the graphic design route is one of the most common routes I see. People, the guests on the podcast that go through. First they leave, for example, their other majors, whether it be computer engineering or I don't know, biology, or they want to become a doctor, and they drop that out. They want to.
Doctors do. Yeah.
Yeah, they want to go to art side, so they're like, what's the most stable art job? It's graphic design. Look at this guy designed the logo.
Graphic design was a nightmare. As much as I appreciate the science and all that, but studying it was goodbye social life, goodbye health, goodbye sleep, all of it gone. It's very intense. Not because I was like, what could be something I could study and still pursue art? Because we don't really have many art majors, only fine arts, and I'm not into that. So okay, I'm gonna do graphic design and slowly on the side do my own thing. And little did I know is that you have no time for yourself or your family or your social life at all when you're studying graphic design. But yeah, I did still learn a lot from. It's all the same principles, pretty much. Composition, colors, blah blah blah, all that stuff. Very, very similar.
Yeah, and that's actually the most common route. And they go to graphic design, then they realize, this is not that fulfilling for me. It feels like, doing MDF cabinets, I want to make sculptures. I don't want to go to MDF cabinets. So they try to actually learn illustration, or maybe they get intrigued by some sort of concept art they saw online. And that's actually one of the most common routes. It's kind of interesting. How is the whole graphic design and illustration and art scene in Saudi Arabia? I'm kind of interested.
Oh, it's pretty. Like it's pretty, especially the design part of it, the graphic design, the design in general. Um, I don't know how do I describe it, but it's very common and very focused on, especially the last 3 years. The industry is just rocketing upwards. Um, and now it's including the film industry and the games industry and all of that together. But for design, yeah, it's pretty. Now we're having the I don't know if it's called something design week. I don't know. But yeah, we have like multiple exhibitions that happen throughout the entirety of Saudi Arabia for a period of time, and there are really, really some cool stuff over there. So yeah,
Oh,
there's a huge interest.
and that's kind of good to know. And
Hmm.
before I move on, I also want to mention something that I prepared something for this episode, and I just 6 minutes into the episode, I realized I haven't said. So, all right, here it goes. نرحب بالجميع في Kouryer podcast. I mean, that's it. Whatever. Like, I tried to memorize something in Arabic just to make it a little bit more special for the Arabic listeners. But yeah,
Hey, hey, our listeners.
yeah, Kouryer podcast. كل اثنين الحادي عشر مساء على Instagram. I don't know.
Oh, that was pretty good.
Yeah, I tried. Thanks. And the next thing I want to ask you is, were you originally when you were in high school, or I don't know, when you wanted to go to university? That's usually the time of the life when everyone starts to think about their future, what they want to be,
Mm.
what they want to do. And during those times, did you know that you from the get-go you wanted to become an artist? Were you persistent on that, or maybe there were doubts from I don't know, family, teachers, or school that hey, you should go to I don't know, become an engineer or something else? How was it for you?
Oh, I've wanted to become an artist ever since like I was 6. I knew what I wanted. It was very defined. It was I had a vision. No, and my family was very supportive. I remember my dad got me I think it was the very first Wacom tablet. It didn't even have like that white box PC, the 90s PC. And I don't think you could use it on any software. It had its own software that I had to use with it. So I started dabbling with tablets really, really early on. And then I don't know, a few years later, my parents found out about this. It's like a transparent screen, and you stick it to your actual monitor, and you draw on it. So that was a weird experience, but I did use that for a bit. I had to like get a high chair so I can like sit on my monitor. It was really weird. um, but then yeah, so I just really wanted to be an artist. I just didn't know where it was taking me. But then the more I learned about the industry and stuff, I started knowing what I really wanted. And at some point, I really wanted to have an art school. And that's probably what I'm still trying to pursue, but slowly.
All right,
Yeah.
awesome.
Mm.
And in the introduction, I mentioned that you're an illustrator and a visual artist, but
Mm.
now I want to get a little bit more in depth. What is your main
Okay.
branch of design that you're focusing on right now? And tell us about your experience from the start of it until now.
What do you mean, like main branch of design?
Like, are you focusing on character illustration or environment illustration, or what sort of thing you're dealing with right now?
It depends on the project I get. I mean, people come and they see I do a lot of characters, but sometimes they ask for other things. Sometimes they would ask for background art, sometimes cover arts. I personally enjoy characters very much, but that's not always what people want. And especially since the industry here locally is relatively new, so I have to accept a wider range of requests. I don't get a niche of requests. So I've done different things from I've done a lot of not a lot, but like multiple interior wall art, it's not like live painting on walls. It's I paint a digital painting and then they print it on a wallpaper in a cafe, or in like I had one in a board games place, and I have one in a school, so it's different stuff. Uh, yeah, and then sometimes I'm making art for card games or for board games. Sometimes I recently I did a novel cover. I'm doing some stuff for games as well, like indie games. Um, yeah, sometimes interior arts and books. Uh, so it's kind of it's a spectrum,
Yeah,
different
and
stuff here and there.
yeah, awesome. And the thing is, I actually need to mention something as well before we continue, is that when you try to, like, for example, work on a new project, like let's say a character, a concept for a character, like how does your design process usually look like? The structure of your pipeline. How does it look? Or maybe not just a character, just in general, like
Mm.
your pipeline of your design process. How does it look?
My first thing is panic. I just panic. I'm like, I can't do this. What do I do?
Awesome.
Sometimes I have to call my friends and be like, I can't do this project, but I took it. I don't know why. They're like, you took it because you can do it. But yeah, um, first I have to break down what I really need to do. Then I plan it out by collecting references. Then I make some sketchy thumbnails. Um, then, depending on what the client chooses, I start coloring and then detailing and all that sort. It's like the basic design process. I don't really have like a different or unique way, not yet, at least. But yeah, I mean, I see some artists do like these really creative ways of starting their work, or like getting inspired by the weirdest things, and I always question like why am I not creative? What's wrong with me? I just think, well, why am I not like that? But I think slowly you just start embracing my style in planning or something. I don't know. Like I said before, I'm a pretty practical person. I need kind of like I need a solid structure for myself so I can start being creative. I'm not like really one of those people. Just start painting and like it goes where it goes. No, I need to kind of know what I'm doing. So yeah, that's kind of what goes on in my little brains here.
Brains?
Yeah, all brains.
Awesome. Like I was like, am I interviewing a mutant here? That kind of be cool. Yeah, and speaking of mutants, I want to ask you something. I actually tried to do that to make a segue to this subject, by the way, just, let you know.
Okay, good segue, I'll take it.
All right. Have you, like, recently, like, gotten into Arcane a lot, right?
Oh, yeah, good show.
And do you personally play League as well?
No. But I've been a fan of League for a long time. I just never played, never really understood the game. I do in fact watch gameplays, but I don't know what's going on. Barely. I think there is a team. I think they need to do this. I think they need to do that, but that's it. I'm more invested in the lore and in the art and the backgrounds and the characters, that part of it. So yeah, all these beautiful cinematics they have, and like everyone in the comments, please make a show. And we had no idea they were actually making a show for the past God knows how many years, 10 years, I don't know how long.
Yeah, actually, they've been working on it for 6 years, and even if you go back like even 3 to 4 years ago, in their like different character music videos, they're teasers of Arcane without telling them. Like, it's so genius.
Yeah, that's true. They're mean.
Yeah. And I need to mention something also to anyone who's listening to this podcast and they're kind of interested in like watching Arcane. Dude, it's a great show, but there's a but.
There's a but.
Don't think that just because the lore is good, the Arcane is good, you should go play League. It will cost you your sanity. I'm warning you. Just
Don't
don't.
scare people. Let them try it. Let them try it.
Yeah,
Go
try it. Don't worry, go ahead. It's definitely not.
There's the iPhone game. I think it's called League Wild
Rift.
Rift or something. Yeah, Rift. Yeah, it's pretty fun. I downloaded the game. I tried to play a little bit, but I was pretty overwhelmed by the amount of things I can do. So I left it on the side just for the time being. But I feel like this is an easier approach than League to start with.
Yeah,
maybe.
definitely. And but in terms of like story writing and world building, they've done an amazing job, and they also have like a lot of like future games even, like they're trying to make like a MMORPG like World of Warcraft, and I think that's going to be huge. And also they're working on a fighting game like Mortal Kombat, but in the same universe. There's Jinx, like everything.
That would be super fun. That I would definitely play.
Like here's the thing: if China doesn't conquer the world by, I don't know, military, operations, they will conquer the world by entertainment industry. Like I'm telling you, Tencent, Riot, they're all, most like big industries are in China's pocket. So yeah, ni hao, let's learn Chinese. All right.
Yes, learn Chinese.
Yeah.
They used to actually teach it at my school.
Oh really?
Yeah, they taught Chinese for some. I think it was for some classes. We had these classes that had, I don't know, they called it like talented students or something. Like students, they give them extra stuff. They pick them out. So one of the things they gave them was Chinese. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. And all right, the next question is going to be an interesting one. I always get interesting answers from everyone by it. What is the first art job paycheck you ever got? And what was it for? Like, when was it? Like, basically the whole story. How did you feel at the time when you even got it?
Paycheck? Like an actual job?
The first money you made. No, not necessarily a stable job. Just the first money you made through art.
Well, since my parents were pretty supportive of what I did, they thought like I was pretty good at the age of like 13, 14. Then they got me this client who wanted who was trying to design you know how accessories come on these pieces of papers that have the clips stuck on them? It's a tag for jewelry.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So they wanted a character for a girls' jewelry brand, little girls. And so then my parents were like, we got you your first client. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. And then, yeah, I think that was the first time I ever got paid for something I did. I was 13. It's pretty terrible, I'm telling you, but the client loved it. I think it was the first time, like, because the industry was pretty, it wasn't that, like, people didn't really care about that the quality that much. So yeah, he thought the artwork was pretty decent, and he paid. That was the first time I got paid.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And all right, now, like, you mentioned something about like the whole art scene in Saudi Arabia, and like, we mentioned briefly about it, but I was wondering, by any chance, do you have any idea how basically the Arabic countries art scene are, like, like, it's kind of like a weird question to ask. I know it's kind of a weird dumbed down logic. Like, I'm thinking, she speaks Arabic, she probably knows about other Arabic countries. Like, I understand that kind of might sound ignorant, but I'm just wondering, maybe maybe by any chance you knew, of course, because Ari, you probably know more Arabic speaking artists than me. That's why I'm asking.
Okay, so your question is, what exactly? What's the question?
How is no worries, sorry, my bad. How is the art scene basically in other Arabic countries, like, and also Saudi Arabia right now itself?
You mean like the whole community? The community of artists?
And also the industry as well.
Okay. It's actually getting more and more active. Before COVID, I used to arrange gatherings pretty often, and I would arrange some live drawing sessions and stuff. And like also other artists would do the same thing. And just yesterday I went to an event. An anime artist hosted the event. He was like, "Come, let's all gather and we draw anime together." And it's like, okay, I'm gonna go socialize for a bit. And then they gave out these giveaways and stuff. So like in general, the community here is very supportive of each other, and they like to gather every once in a while to draw and talk together, get to know each other. Um, it's mostly. Actually, I'm thinking about it right now. Anime artists are more in numbers. Like the
That's fascinating.
anime art specifically is much more popular here. We have an entire company called Manga Production. It's a company. I don't know if this is correct, but I think it's funded by the government, and they have these like big projects in collaboration with Japanese companies like Toy Animation. You know, Toy Animation, yeah. So they recently released a movie called The Journey. It's a Saudi collaboration with Toy Animation, and now they're working on other things. And they have mangas. They released mangas. They released a lot of stuff. I think they have games as well. So yeah, that's happening. It's pretty intense. Yeah.
I'm kind of shocked. Like this. Imagine Saudi government funding an anime studio.
Yeah.
How wild is that?
It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. It is actually.
You know what separates them from like other relatively conservative politicians is that they understand like in order to grow as a country a nation, they need to set aside their sometimes they don't need to be super strict about the religious mindsets.
We go like recently we've been trying to be parallel. Like religion in itself, in its own sense, it's very freeing for the person. Like I could keep going on in that, but it's not the topic for today. So I think there's a wider understanding of religion here in Saudi, that you have the red lines you're not supposed to cross, and there is a whole world that you can talk about without being like impolite or without hurting anything within the religion. And most of the projects, by the way, that are being funded are related to Saudi. Like the movie The Journey is about the history of Saudi Arabia. So most of the projects that are coming are related to history and all that stuff. So yeah, nothing really, like nothing. I don't know how to say this, but it's all within the guidelines, within the appropriate bubble.
No, I can definitely understand.
Recently,
what you mean.
we had the, I don't know if you heard about it, the Red Sea Film Festival.
No, not actually.
You can look it up. It's like a whole red carpet event, and they got like celebrities from outside and stuff, and they had a competition of the best Saudi movie, and they gave an award. So it's kind of like a big fancy VIP event. So the whole industry of the entertainments and arts is really expanding here. I think they're realizing that this is what actually brings in the money. Entertainment in general.
Yeah,
in all
exactly.
countries, it's what sells.
Yeah, especially with the whole COVID thing, everyone they realized that the power of online presence of everything. Like tourism industry, it got screwed up. There, imagine a lot of the industries got screwed up, but the entertainment industry.
Exactly. Yeah.
It grew. It grew actually.
It grew. It does. It did. Yeah. And recently, only a few years ago, like I don't know how long has it been. Maybe 3 years, 2 years, no more, maybe 3-4 years. They just opened cinemas here. We didn't have cinemas. Yeah.
Hey, excuse me?
Yeah, we didn't have cinemas. We had to travel to I had to go to UAE, or we had to go to Bahrain to watch a movie,
Oh,
We
that's
didn't have,
wild.
yeah, we had a very conservative era, like extremely. Um, but now it's loosening up. Women couldn't drive until until a few years ago. Same times. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
things
I
are
actually
just
heard about that.
rapidly changed in the last 4 years.
Yeah, I think it's a new prince that's kind of much more liberal leader, right? I heard.
The prince, the crowned prince.
Yeah, he's a much more liberal dude, I think.
Yeah, he changed the whole country, and we're so grateful.
Good dude, good dude. And also, I want to also give a shout out to Ahmed Al Duri as well. He was actually the reason that I found your page and profile and this stuff. So yeah, and also for anyone who's like enjoying the work of Ameera Sheikh, our guest today, and also maybe just like to draw portraits and characters, I highly recommend the Meds Map course. It came out like a half a year ago, but it's super detailed and like it's amazing. Basically, you should just see the trailers and reviews on YouTube and see it for yourself. I'm not going to rant about it for now. Just want to give a quick shout out, and
Super
let's
helpful.
move on. Yeah. And speaking of Ahmed Al Duri, the next question is, who are your favorite artists and designers that have inspired you the most?
Why do you bring Ahmed into this question?
Well, I mean, he kind of...
Now I have to say Ahmed is one of my favorite artists. No, I'm just kidding. Of course he is. He's a fascinating artist. Just watching him sketch, it just blows my mind. That's a very tough question, though. I have to say, I really, really love the art of Magic the Gathering. That's what I'm trying to reach in terms of level. I can't really name a specific artist, but there are multiple artists who paint for Magic that I absolutely love. I'm just so drawn into the details and into the way they look very natural and real. Ugh, I love that. It's just so it's incredible, actually. Yeah, what got me into all of this was I've always loved the art of Magic the Gathering, but ever since I started getting into the Dungeons and Dragons community, I started like going even deeper in that stuff.
Is there a Dungeon and Dragon community in Saudi Arabia as well?
There is actually. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
There is, but it's very low key. Like, only people know the people. Kind of. I'm pretty sure you've heard of Critical Role, the show, the D&D show. They're the ones who really blew up Matthew Mercer. They're the ones who really blew up the community of Dungeons and Dragons globally. It was because of them. I got into D&D because of them. I didn't know about it before. I knew the name, but I had no idea what it was. But yeah, then I started meeting people and getting into it more, and then just falling in love with the art and all that stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, actually, I had guests before who were like, pretty big nerds in D&D, and actually one of them recommended a channel for me that kind of explained every aspect of the game of D&D, like with animations. I forgot the name of the channel, but it was super helpful.
Okay.
But yeah, and I've always wanted to get into it, but I never had like, that group of people to, just get engaged with it, because it requires a certain type of, people to play with, imaginative types that doesn't get bored. Like, yeah, you have your friends that want to play Call of Duty Warzone or something, but you
through going through multiple groups until you settle with the group you're comfortable with.
Yeah,
because I did start playing online because I didn't really know. I had my friend who told me about the show, but it was just the two of us, and we can't like play alone. We need a group. So yeah, we played online with people from all around the world, but it gets pretty difficult with the different time zones and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even Like we all speak good English, but sometimes the language barrier is still there.
Yeah, I get
You know,
it. Yeah.
you wanna say some words that in your own language, and you want people to get them. It's not all the English word is not always the first thing that comes. You know, so it's a little bit difficult to just consistently play only in English for me personally.
Yeah, I know. I definitely know what you
Uh,
mean.
yeah. So, like, I'm very blessed. I'm very grateful that we found a group here to play together, and we're all comfortable with each other. What was that? We're all comfortable and stuff. So, yeah, it's
Awesome.
really fun.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you working on right now that you can tell us about? What kind of project is it? I mean, of course, if it's something that there's an NDA involved, we can skip right past this question. But if that's not the
There's
case,
always an NDA involved.
yeah, that's it.
But recently, Critical Role, the D&D show, they released a campaign setting book that I was part of. It's pretty cool. It was kind of a dream to work with them. And so when it happened, I was just something I did. What else? I'm working on a pretty cool project. Also with the same with the manga production company. They're working on also a big project. I can't really talk anything about it, but yeah, that's going on. And another cool board game, card game project that's pretty intense. Very, the art is very Magic the Gathering-esque, so it's very challenging. But I'm pretty excited to work on it. That's also happening alongside some mini projects here and there. You know, that's mostly what I'm currently working. It sounds little, but it's a lot of work.
No, it definitely sounds a lot. No, definitely. And I was just wondering, like, we talked about art all this time, but if given enough time and resources so you didn't have to worry about anything, what would you do? Like, it could be learning a new skill or maybe
Oh man.
realizing one of your ambitions, that long time life ambitions, or by the way, it could be completely non-art related, by the way.
Yeah. Long time ambitions. I don't think I have any, but sometimes you come across something and you're like, oh, wow, I want to learn all about this. So when we were in lockdown, I suddenly got into gardening. And I just went all out and I started learning about seeds and about the perfect conditions. And, the heat of Saudi Arabia does not allow you to grow anything, only very, very specific things. So I would garden and take care of all my plants and they would just die in summer. And so I just focused on my little indoor plants. That's it. Lately I've been wanting to learn volleyball. I wish I can get good at just one sport. I just want one sport to be good at it. Yeah, I want to learn skateboarding too. I don't know how to skateboard. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I personally like boarding sports is one of my favorites, as well as skateboard, surfboard, snowboard, and the only one
You know how to board. That's amazing. You're so lucky.
No, I didn't say I know them. Like, wait a minute.
Okay.
Like, it's also life like
You want to learn? Okay. So we're in the same boat.
Yeah, you were impressed that this dude knows surf. This dude knows
can
snowboard.
do. Wow.
No, I just tried skateboard and it with failed spectacular fashion.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, but I kind of love it. I love a skateboard. Like any board games, like not board games, board games. Right?
Yeah,
that's
I get
gonna
it.
sound
like
weird.
surfing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I get it. No worries.
Imagine a joke like a Family Guy bit when someone says, "Hey Peter, I want to get a board game," and instead of a board game, it actually brings him like, I don't know, Tony Hawk Pro Skater or something.
They bring a skateboard. Could be a good joke.
Yeah. And well. We've reached the final question and section of the podcast, which is called appropriately final words. I know, sound a bit dramatic, but let me explain. Imagine you had a limited amount of time, and in that limited amount of time, you could leave a message or messages or words or just sentences or anything from yourself to anyone who might be listening to this podcast in the future. They've been listening to the podcast till mark 34 minutes and 22, 23, 24 seconds, and they're at this point. To those people that are listening in the future, if you could leave a message or messages, what would you say?
Oh, that's a very deep question. I have to think about this one for a bit.
No worries, take your time.
That's fine. I'm thinking. I think the very first thing that comes to my mind is to simplify your thoughts. I don't know if that makes sense, but the more you can simplify a concept in your head or your thoughts in general about anything, the easier it is to, digest and come up with ideas or solutions. Or naturally, as humans, we tend to complicate and think about deeper things and overthink and all that. But I feel like that just takes away from our lives. We're not supposed to go that hard. The best ideas are those ideas who are very simple and very genuine. So I mean that in the sense, even if I'm trying to, think about my future and think about all the things that I want to accomplish and all that, sometimes what helped me keep going is just simplify. I want to do something good. I want to leave an impact. What good can I do today? So I feel like little by little, it's good things will pile up and you will end up with a really good big thing, But if I just overwhelm myself with I want to build a art school. It's just so many things. I have to do that, and I have to get money, and I have to get funding, and I have to be better as an artist so I can get credibility, and so many things. But then I'm just calm down. You just to, you said, you want to leave a benefit, you want to leave an impact. So start with what you can do now, which is making some little videos and posting them on Instagram, for example. Making videos, posting them on YouTube. That's what I can do. Collaborate with other artists to do the same thing with me. Learn a new skill every day. Spend half an hour on Ahmed's course every day, So just simplifying everything. Life is pretty simple. It's just the good things are just a combination of simple stuff put together nicely, So yeah, simplify. So,
See, the reason I didn't tell you to prepare for any questions, I don't know if you asked before, because that's what usually most guests ask, was the past 2 minutes that you answered was a perfect example why I didn't tell you the questions in preparation. Because if I did, you would have thought about it, you would have written something, so your logical side would have answered. But now your heart answered, That's the logic behind me not telling these questions, beforehand to the artist.
Makes sense.
Because I want to make the answers as genuine, extract the answers as genuine as possible from the guests. And I'm glad I did that. Because that was actually a really important point. And thank you so much for coming by. Where can people contact you if they had any questions, or they want to contact you, in general? Is your Instagram okay?
Of course. Yeah. My DMs are always open. I'm always answering them whenever I can. That's pretty much my main contact point. But for work, I do take emails. It's easily. How do I say it? You can find it easily.
Okay, you can find it easily in the captions. Don't worry, I'll put that in the captions. I'll take care of that.
My description also on my bio, my link tree. It's everywhere.
Yeah,
not that hard.
Yeah, definitely. And all right, thanks again for coming by, and thank you to anyone who tuned in and listened or watched this episode. If there were
thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. If there was any suggestions or just basically you want to say anything about a podcast or give a feedback, you can leave them in the comments down below on Castbox, YouTube, or just send a DM on the Kouryer podcast page. I always check everything. And that's about it. Take care, everyone, and have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.